episode 288, Broken Records. Hello and welcome to another episode. Hope you're all doing okay out there. I've said it the last few episodes now, I hope the old COVID isn't doing you any harm now, and I hope you're following the rules, keeping those handies sterilised, and wearing the mask when you're supposed to. I'm sort of getting used to the mask now. I've just been up to Lidl there. It's a little shop. It's less than, a kilometre away from the house. A bit too handy if I'm honest, but it's a grocery. Everybody knows what Lidl is. I mean, you've heard of them. They're a German supermarket chain. But it's been raining quite heavily. We're just the tail end of Storm Francis, I think. So there's been quite a bit of wind, a bit of rain, and I did ask Alexa there when the rain was going to stop, and she said about an hour's time. I thought, I'm not going to wait an hour, so I put the old hoodie on. I've got a Nike hoodie. I shoved that on myself and went into Lidl anyway. So I had the mask on and the hoodie going in. Even if I say so myself, I looked a little bit dodge, a little bit sketch, a little bit, why is this guy covering his face, on his head? And I mean, a lot of people have said it's an improvement, but it was quite funny. I mean, only a short while ago, you go into a bank, you had to take, any headgear off, motorbike helmet, whatever. Now you're actively encouraged to cover your face as you walk in. I mean, what the hell is CCTV picking up? All these people walking around and all you can see is their eyes. Very strange, isn't it? But I hope we get to the situation where we don't need to wear the masks. I think it'd be nice. But, at the moment, I'm sort of enjoying it. It's a little bit hot, but, I'm sure I'll survive. So anyway, working from home, been at home a lot. I do talk about my brush with COVID. It's episode 274, contracting COVID. I don't know if I actually did have COVID, but as part of that, I've been self-isolating as a precaution for 2 weeks. So I haven't been going out, and today was sort of the first time in a couple of weeks that I've actually really properly left the house and picked up a few choice items from Lidl. So I've been doing really well. I've been feeling a lot better. Interesting that the one thing that lingered in me was a sore throat. Now, I don't know if it was COVID. Chances are it probably was just a bug, but the symptoms were pretty much COVID symptoms. Although I didn't have a proper cough really with it, and I certainly didn't have breathing problems. I would have been really worried about that. But I wasn't sick enough, shall we say, to get tested. But it was definitely as close as I want to, or I hope I'm ever going to be to COVID. So I've been at home a lot, self-isolating. I started wandering around the house a little bit. And I was up in the attic, and I found some records. Now, I think different parts of the world might have different names for these. So sometimes, you hear them call them singles. They're vinyl based. They're made from vinyl. Used to be made from shellac. But these ones I have a vinyl. They're 45s, which mean they're quite a fast speed. But it's a small disc. And generally speaking, there's one song per side. So this is actually, for the CD and streaming generation, this was an early form of recording music that could be sold to people, mass-produced. And they're basically discs of vinyl that have been embossed with a track, if you like. And on the track, you put in a record player and you can play it, I don't really want to go into too many technicalities of how it works, but it's heavily dependent on this groove that goes in a spiral from the outside all the way to the center cardboard disc. Oh, sorry, the layer. It's not cardboard, is it? Well, some of them it's cardboard. That's a long story, but to the disc in the middle anyway. And basically, it follows this track right to the end. And in this track, there is a groove, or a certain shape of groove that produces sound. And obviously, a record player has a very sensitive needle that goes along this groove. Boom, and you hear the music. It's fantastic. It was it came after the wax cylinder. I think that was the first ever medium to be able to record, I suppose a human voice, but music as well. And now we're at the point where these records that I have, these singles, I have a bunch of them in front of me here. These date from around, some are from 1969, 1970, right through to the early 80s. I think CDs started to be popular in the 80s. But they were very expensive and really only classical music, I think it was really maybe the 90s before they became really popular as a medium for all music. The analogy I used to use is you used to go into a record shop and there'd be records everywhere. Then in the corner there'd be like one cabinet with CDs that were for classical music. And then a few years later, it was the opposite. And it is to this day in some ways where you could go into a shop and there'd be like loads of CDs, and then in the corner there'd be like these LPs, these records. It's very interesting how things work. And one thing I would say, why haven't I just thrown these in the bin? I've got a few of them here. I must have about 30 of them, and I'm going to go through them in a moment as to who they are, what they are, and what the record labels are. But one of the reasons I like records is because they were of the time, in a sense. So if you get one record and it's clean and it's no dust or scratches on it, you put it on a good record player and listen to it. It's just the most amazing sound. If you listen to certain CDs, certainly the early CDs, it seems to be very clinical, the sound. Whereas there's a lovely warmth I find to these records, and listening to artists like Queen and that on going from their albums from years ago, it's on some real heavy vinyl. It's really great to listen to, and I know a lot of people get into it now and it's becoming more popular. I'd certainly recommend, if you can get your hands on some original vinyl as well as the modern, mastered stuff. It's just amazing. One of my lasting memories of vinyl from years ago was in my grandmother's house. She had a record player, and it was the speaker record player all in one. It was a 78 speed, 33 and a third, and a 45 speed. And there was some records, and they were shellac records, and one of them was, I think it was the Crickets, but it was Buddy Holly anyway, Buddy Holly and the Crickets, and I remember putting that on and listening to it and coming out this little speaker. So the record player was from the 1950s, from about the same time as the single was, And there was this moment where it felt like I was in a time machine, that had gone back. I think this would have been probably the 70s. So I'd gone back 20 years to the 1950s, and to hear Buddy Holly singing on the medium that, his music was engineered for, really. And I think that's the key here. The engineers in the studios, whether it was mono or whether it's stereo, they engineered it for that medium, and that's why it's so important. That's why it's so amazing. That's why you can't just transfer it from there onto a CD. That's why it has to be mastered for the medium it's on. And that's what takes a really good engineer to do. So anyway, so that's my personal experience of the records from yesteryear. And it was just, to me, it was magical. I mean, to hear Buddy Holly is pretty good. But to hear it in the way it was listened to in the 50s, it was a little bit crackly. There was the odd pop. But it sounded good, It sounded really good, So that's why I've sort of an interest, I think, in records. I'm thinking of starting a collection again. I keep thinking, and I haven't done it yet. It's one of those things, if I get time, I probably will do, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I've got some 45 singles in front of me. You probably hear them, the noise in the background. The first one I picked up here, and the whole crux of this, it's called Broken Records, this podcast, because they've not been looked after, these singles. They're literally in a stack in a plastic bag. There's no paper sleeves, there's no cardboard sleeves, there's nothing. And it's a crying shame. This could almost make me cry, So I've just picked up the first one. It's Tamla Motown, 45 RPM. Interestingly, it was made in Ireland, this one. So EMI had an Irish division. So if you was to buy any of these records in Ireland, interestingly enough, they were made in Ireland. And this one's from 1969. It's Marvin Gaye. And it's a nice little ditty. It's Abraham, Martin and John, which is a fantastic song. Now, just looking at the disc itself, I do apologise if there's a bit of echo there. I'm moving my head away from the mic. I'm getting so excited, you see, But I do apologise for any extraneous sound. So this is, 1969, Abraham, Martin and John. And it's not overly scratched on one side. It looks very sticky and dusty. I think with a good clean, there's one or two scratches. That's looking at it. I'd say this would be playable. And one of the things I was going to say, I know there's loads of cleaning solutions and stuff for records. And after really badly dirty, there's a talk about putting PVA glue actually on the record itself and letting it go hard and then peeling it off again. And I'm sort of thinking that might be a good idea in some ways, but I don't want to destroy these completely. So 1966 is the next 45 RPM, and it's Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Would you believe it? And there's two songs here. I'm the One You Need, you might know that one. And on the back, We Can Make It, We Can, again, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. So that's nice. There's some really nice singles here. Marvin Gaye again. So whoever bought these was really into the soul music. That's the Way Love Is from 1969. Gonna keep on trying to win your love. Love it. Psychedelic Shack, The Temptations. Looks like there's a little bit of chocolate on this one. It's a small little piece of chocolate, I think. That would probably come off now. I did mention the center spindle of these singles, and it is plastic. Yeah, it is plastic in the middle, but actually you can break it off. So on some record players, I think ones that used to stack, if you could stack more than one record, would have a large centerpiece, and you could pop that out and put it on one of those, I think. And you got adapters in case your records didn't have the small center home. So Psychedelic Shack, the Temptations from 1969, that's not too bad. There's a couple of deep scratches on the back though. That's the way love is, I suppose. Anyway, so the real crux of all this, apart from me going through all these fantastic singles, I just do this all night. One of the things I'd like to do is try and fix these, you know. Now, you know, there's an instinct in me going, you can't, just forget it, you know, it's not going to happen, like. But I'm now looking at ABC by the Jackson 5. This is from 1970. The B-side, what's the B-side? The B-side is The Young Folks by the Jackson 5. So that one there, I can see the damage on it. There's some scratches on it. It is dirty as well. Very dull-looking vinyl, you know. And I'd say a good clean would help. But I was wondering, in terms of repairing these things, if you could, I don't know, could you scan these? Could you scan them, like with a 3D scanner? And could you reproduce them using a 3D printer? Am I talking lunacy? Am I just talking rubbish here? I don't know, you know. I've got Blinky and Edwin Starr. Well, I know who Edwin Starr is. Ooh, Baby, Baby. That's from my 1969. What's the B-side here now? Have a quick look at that. Oh, How Happy. Blinky and Edwin Starr again. I'm not familiar with that song. Now, these ones are actually made in Great Britain for some reason. So I don't know if these were imported or, I don't know, because I've been on Ireland, of course. Oh, here's a good one. Edwin Starr, War. What is it good for, eh? 1970. And the B-side is He Who Picks a Rose. So, yeah that's here, my Ireland. From 1968. So that was a 1968 song, and obviously the War is from 1970. So, yeah, I mean, I really don't want to see these go into the bin. You know, it'd be nice if there was somewhere... these are all Tamla Motown, by the way, all these records. It's All in the Game, the Four Tops, again, 1970. There was a bit of a rush on in 1970. They were buying records like mad, you know. Love Is the Answer, Four Tops, great stuff. Oh, so there's lots of Four Tops here. Edwin Starr. You know, Edwin Starr, amazing, you know. I did go and see Edwin Starr. I've seen him perform live many years ago, and it's very good. Very good artist now. So what have we got here now? Get Ready from Rare Earth. A Rare Earth recording. A Magic Key. Don't know about that now. Don't know who that is now. From 1970. That was Tamla Motown. We're on to Columbia now. It's interesting that the style of the single is the same. The 45 RPM. The labels are black. Now this is Columbia, but you look at it and it's like, you know, it's obviously they're all, you know, they're obviously together. They're obviously some, you know, co-distribution deal or something, I think, going on. I do apologise if the audio's not very good, by the way. It's because I keep looking down at these records. So this is an interesting one now, and this was quite a surprise to me. And I might actually look this song up, and I haven't done it at this stage. But it's actually Ken Dodd. You might have been familiar with Ken Dodd. I don't. He was a giant. He was a giant in British comedy. Is probably the best way to describe him. His live acts could last up to 7 hours. He would literally go on for hours and hours and hours. And, you know, people would go home because they were just worn out, or they were going to miss the last bus or the last train home, you know. But he was a bit of a singer. Now, don't get me wrong, he was an interesting comedian. But his singing voice was actually very nice now. The only thing is, the songs on this particular disc I'm not familiar with. Time Slips Away. I might remember that one, I'm not sure. And the other one on the other side is Azuro, and in brackets, Blue Skies. That's interesting now, yeah. Azure, that's blue, isn't it? Interesting. So I might look that up. Good old Ken Dodd. Yeah, he was an amazing comedian. He had the king of the one-liners, maybe, I don't know, but he used to have Diddy Men, a little troupe of got to be careful now. We're living in interesting times. I don't know if there were dwarves and midgets. I think there were midgets. Yeah, he had this troupe, and they're really funny, and he had a tickling stick. Anyhow, we'll move on quickly. So Columbia Records again. This is the Dave Clark 5. Southern Man, and in brackets Neil Young. So it's obviously a cover version of a Neil Young song, is it? And If You Want to See Me Cry. Those are 1971, both of those. Interestingly enough, interesting fun fact about 1971, the year I was born. Yes, I am that old, you heard it here. So another Columbia one. This is the last of the black labels, as it were. And this is Malcolm Roberts. And it's Joey Yes No and When There's No You. I'll definitely have to look these up online and have a shove this. I've got Spotify, I'm sure I'll be able to find them, you know. I have another one here now. Not many more, don't worry. If you're starting to fall asleep, that's fair enough, you know. I've got Polydor here. Polydor, very famous producer now, record producing company, distribution, whatever you call it. So, yeah, I don't know who this is. Aftermath. I don't know what year this is from. There's no date on it. That's very unusual, isn't it? We Have No More Babies Left. Yeah. Sounds a bit depressing, doesn't it? Turner Kieran was the writer. And Neck and Neck in the Race of Life. Maybe not my cup of tea. I'm not sure, but I can always look it up online if I get a chance. I'm going to move on. There's only a few left now. This is Pie. They were quite a big company, Pie. They used to do radios and all sorts of equipment back in the day. I think they're completely gone now. Like a lot of companies from that era. So this is Chris Barber's jazz band. Chris Barber's Jazz Parade. It's supposed to be like a medley. Chris Barber Jazz Parade Volume 1. Whistling Rufus and Trombone Charlie. Now I don't know if they're actually in the band or if that's their thing. On the vocal is Ottilie Patterson. I hope I pronounced that right. I do apologise, Mr. Patterson, if you're is that Mr. or Mrs. Mr. If you're out there and you know, I hope I didn't get that wrong. Published in 1968. So there's a date on that. And on the B side, yeah, just more of the same, I think. Yeah, it's an extended play, which is nice. But it is only a single, and it's only a 45. I don't know what the limit is. 4 minutes, maybe, on one side on these. I'm sure someone knows out there. Pie again, the last one, and it's Mr. Ackerbilk marches on. There's a couple of little ditties. I love Ackerbilk. He did a bit of music called Stranger on the Shore, and it's the most amazing bit of music. I love it. And you know, there's times in your life where you might get a bit stressed, a bit tense, a bit anxious, shall we say. And I always found that music quite soothing. Yeah, Strangers on the Shore. Yoko Ono now this is an interesting one. This is a little bit of a surprise. Never really been a big fan of Yoko Ono. I know she got a lot of bad press because she was married to John Lennon, I think. But a singing style I found quite, how should I put it, quite unique. So this one is from, this is a lot later, this one. I think this is from the 1980s. I can't read, 1981, sorry. And it's Yoko Ono, Warner Brothers, Geffen Records, Goodbye Sadness. From the album Seasons of Glass, produced by Yoko Ono. Interesting. And the B-side is I Don't Know Why. And again, it's interesting. It's produced by Yoko Ono and Phil Spector. He was a car, wasn't he, Phil Spector? Let's not talk about his private life, but let's talk about his work with Tina Turner on the Wall of Sound. What a guy. Amazing stuff. Anyhow, let's move on. Arista Records now. Nick Hayward. Take That Situation. Okay. And what's the B-side? Cafe Canada. Wonder what year that was. It looks very 80s now. Only a couple left now. It's going to go, I think it might go downhill here now. Phillips from 1964, is that? Yeah, 1964. And it's Juliet by the Four Pennies. Yeah, I don't really, it doesn't ring any bells. I could look it up. And Tell Me Girl, the Four Pennies. What are you gonna do? Yeah, I often said that to myself. What are you gonna do? And finally, what's this one? RCA Victor. What's this? 1972. I was one. The Spirit is Willing. Hey, that is Peter Straker. The Hands of Dr. Teleny. And then the B-side is, this must be from some musical, is it? It's the same one, The Spirit is Willing. Yeah, it'd be nice to get. That's probably looking that's one of the best quality ones actually. And then finally, I don't know, United Artist single here from 1969, Bobby Goldsboro, Muddy Mississippi Line, 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And the B-side is A Richer Man Than I. Maybe I got that the wrong way around. Oh no, that is side 2, yeah. Because a lot of these, they don't really make it obvious which is the A side and the B side. And it does make you wonder if the record company don't know themselves, and they sort of go, is this going to be the hit? Or, because what they used to call a double A side, didn't they, when like they were both really good songs. So anyhow, so that's the pile of 45 RPM singles I have in front of me now that I found in the attic that are, you know, quite old. I don't know what they are, 40 to 50 years old, these singles are. The condition is terrible to awful. Awful to terrible, I don't know. They definitely need cleaning, and I'm just interested. I'm tempted to get a very cheap, I know this sounds silly, a very cheap record player, clean them up and see how they come out. So I know digitally I can remove pops and hisses using Audacity. I'm using Audacity at the moment. The audacity of him using Audacity, but I don't, I don't know anything. I don't know anything special when I'm talking into it. But I'd like to see if there's a physical way that these can be somehow repaired, and it might be a bit of a folly. It might just keep me busy. Well, it's sort of in lockdown, But it's definitely something I'm going to be working on. So I'll definitely come back with some updates as how I get on. I sort of don't mind if there's hisses and crackles and pops, because of the historical significance. It's an old thing, isn't it? Anything that's like 40, 50 years old, I think is amazing. So, look at me, I'm nearly 50. So anyway, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Then thank you for listening.